I've been working on a new live perimenopause program in my nutrition business, but it goes much wider than nutrition. I've called it Rooted, Resilient and Radiant. And we actually start in January. It's a 12-week program. And it's looking at supporting women through perimenopause in a very unique way. Through my own journey through perimenopause, I've come to realize that it's not just a physical period, a period of physical changes. It's a period of mental and emotional changes as well. And I've become very aware of that, although there is a conversation around perimenopause these days, it tends to be a conversation, certainly in the Western world, that treats perimenopause as a condition to be cured. And I think that's fundamentally flawed because it's a transition that every woman will go through at some point in her life, usually somewhere between the ages of 45 and 55. For some, it happens much earlier. For some women, it happens as a result of medical treatments, particularly for cancer, but also for other things. It's not a transition that women find easy. And to me, part of that is due in Western society, because we're in a society that values the young and, sorry, my dog's decided to bark. Freya. And put on the value on youth and making attractiveness and our value as women on our linked to our attractiveness makes anything that's related to growing older and to aging a very, very scary thing. And the temptation for many of us is to try and push it back, avoid it, exercise, eat properly, take HRT, to delay the inevitable. And it is inevitable. And whilst I'm not knocking HRT here at all, it's a very valid way for some women of dealing with very debilitating symptoms. Anybody who dismisses hot flashes or brain fog or anxiety as trivial hasn't experienced the worst that our hormones can throw at us. One thing that I do know from my own lived experience and from talking to many other women is that we can actually support our own bodies through perimenopause, through good nutrition, through appropriate exercise, and through mindset. And this is the one that's completely forgotten. The mental and emotional aspects of perimenopause are very much pushed under the carpet. The archetypal hysterical woman. The word hysterical comes from the Greek word for womb, as does hysterectomy. There's nothing hysterical about it when your hormones are all over the place. If you understand the range and the breadth of effects that estrogen has in the body, then understanding why you're experiencing some of those things and just how varied those effects can be is actually, for me, it was a revelation. And also it was a step in a positive direction because for me, understanding is key to being able to deal with things. Perimenopause also tends to coincide for many women with other big shifts in life. For example, teenagers growing up, moving out, going to university, children getting married, children taking gap years and travelling to godforsaken places, which is what I did. I didn't realise quite what an effect that probably had on my mum at the time. And also it's a change in identity. because for women whose identity is linked to being a mother, and I think many of us slide into that, whether we want to or not. And on the other hand, for women whose identity is linked to being youthful and attractive, there's a whole emotional gamut that goes with the realization that you are getting older, that your children don't need you anymore, therefore your role as a mother is becoming redundant. And often shifts in the workplace as well. I was in a group of women this morning where I actually realized that probably about 2/3 of them had a corporate career in the past, which they left at some point. At least 3 admitted to burnout. So when all those things land simultaneously, it's a huge thing to cope with. And looking at this passage in life, this transition, for which in Western culture we don't have a rite of passage, and we don't even have a really well-defined model for what an older woman should be. Um, I spent quite some time researching this actually, and I couldn't find a positive term for an older woman. Hag, crone, um, elder isn't really one which is used in our society, and it tends to have a religious connotation if it uses, because many churches have elders. So it's a bit of a lack of role model there for women who are still in their prime and who can choose to espouse a different identity to the one they've been living with for possibly many years. I read a Chinese saying recently that women in their 40s are wolves, women in their 50s are bears, and women in their 60s are tigers. And I think that shows a fundamentally different approach to how a different society perceives older women. That proverb suggests that as women get older, they get stronger, they stand in their power. And that's what I'm aiming for with my new program, which is called Rooted, Resilient and Radiant. I've got the brand new, exciting webpage ready to go. I did get help on this, that's a big thing for me, asking for help. But the lovely Stephanie Latore at FEA Create helped me to, well, she did the donkey work on designing it. I just provided the content. And the program will start in January. And I've decided to start it at the new moon in January, which is the 17th of January. So that gets Christmas and New Year out of the way. And hopefully, you ladies out there like me will be in a position to actually focus on yourselves for some time. So I'm going to be running a series of webinars over the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, talking about this more, about what I'm doing, about my approach, and about why I'm doing this. If you'd like to join me for any of these, just follow my page. I am putting a diary page in my About page, both on Up the Garden Path and Fledgling Crone, which is my main publication, and on my nutrition publication, which is Nutrition for Performance. So if you have any questions, would like to know any more about it, drop me a DM or put a message in the chat. I'm more than happy to talk about it. I could talk about this for hours. I am going to go now because I really do need to cook supper for my family. But for those of you who are here, thank you for watching. And anybody who's watching this on catch up, please do reach out. Thank you very much. Bye.